the organization pushing messages and information out to consumers, right? Through billboards, through TV, through radio, print, ads. Well, now it's shifting. Now we need to listen because we're getting feedback and information from our customers through their voice, through social media, through places like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And so we're finding that social media has the ability to connect a lot of people really quickly. So what are some reasons? Well, let's see. How about this one? Pretty big. There are more devices connected to the internet than there are people on Earth. So that means that the average person has an iPhone, has an iPad, has a laptop at work, and then maybe a personal laptop at home, right? So think of all the devices that are currently connected to the internet. Now, every minute there's a lot happening in social media, right? If you're looking at these statistics, they're pretty large. Look at the number of emails that go out every minute, the number of texts, the number of times that someone watches a video on YouTube. Look at those Google searches that are looking for companies, for information, what's the best school in the city that I'm moving to. They're looking for all this information. And then, of course, Facebook posts and tweets are huge when you're thinking about numbers. So, Facebook. Look at this. So if you think about the average Facebook user, they have 130 friends. That's crazy. So if they are coming into your business, or they're at your school, they're at your bank, or they're at your dealership, and they have a bad experience, look how many people they can tell in a matter of 8 minutes. 23% of Facebook users check their pages 5 or more times daily, and 51% are more likely to buy a product if they have liked it on Facebook. So when you get those messages and those ads coming up and you like it shows that you're 51% more likely to buy that product. Now, there's some statistics for Twitter. For example, the average Twitter user spends 89 minutes per month on Twitter. 53% of the people on Twitter recommend products in their tweets. And there's been a 663% increase of users that are asking for specific recommendations for businesses. So if you think about the people that are on Twitter, they're usually using it to learn about a company, what they're up to, updates, as well as for entertainment. They're also looking for education. I know at my kid's school, the principal sends out tweets and has information, really relevant articles for parents to read. And then, of course, Twitter users are also looking for discounts and promotions. So word of mouth advertising has never had such a powerful meaning. If you think of the fact that 80% of social media users prefer to connect with brands through Facebook, and 77% of business to consumer companies and 43% of business to business companies got their customers from Facebook. So this gentleman is eating it mighty fine. And what is he doing? Before he's even taken the time to take a bite, he's taking a picture of his food and he's posting it on Instagram, which then connects to his Facebook page as well as his Twitter profile. So instantly, it's going out 3 different channels on social media before he's ever taken a bite of his food. So let's talk about some elements of a successful social media strategy. Well, here are a few things. You need to make sure that whatever messaging you're putting out on social media aligns with your mission, your vision, and your values. We've found that it helps to have a cross-functional branding team. What I mean by that is we don't just have marketing folks on our branding team, we have training and development. We have operations, right? The people that know the field on our branding team. It's a great source of ideas and gives you a much broader range of perspectives. You also want to make sure that whatever message you're sending, whether it's internally to your people or externally to your customers, aligns. You're not sending conflicting messages. You also want want to make sure that you're frequently measuring and monitoring what's going on social media, as well as knowing the sites and who the users are. For example, Twitter is predominantly male. Pinterest is predominantly female. So you just want to make sure that you know who those users are. And then again, measure it frequently. So let's talk about how we engage customers through social media. Now the first step is to create brand interest, right? You want to have a great message that you're sending out to get people excited to want to come to your site. Of course, listening is key. You don't want to ignore the feedback that you're getting from your customers. And then finally, the third thing is you want to make sure that you're building relationships and you're also building a community around your brand. So let's first talk about creating interest. So to create brand interest, there are a few key things. Number one is aligning your message across all channels. So if you use Facebook and you use Twitter and you use Pinterest, you want to make sure that you're aligning that message and sending the same message across all platforms and channels. Use pictures, right? We're such a visual society these days. People want to see pictures. Know how often to post. That's extremely helpful because a lot of people, if you're on Facebook, you don't want your page to be cluttered by a lot of noise coming from a lot of different brands. You want to make sure that you train your employees on the proper use of social media. Benchmark what other companies or organizations are doing. If you're a school, well, find out what other schools are doing if they're using social media successfully. And then my favorite, use hashtags appropriately. Okay, hashtags have gotten crazy out of control, and if you include 4 or more hashtags in one post, you might be going overboard just a bit. So this is an example of how we used 3 different platforms or sites, but we were sending one common message. We're being very authentic in what we're saying about our burger as being a classic Texas burger. And then, of course, pictures. Fans love photos, and most of the time, all of our great pictures come from our fans eating in our restaurants, right? They're the ones that are posting them to our site or sharing them through Instagram. So what about when and how often to post? Dan Zarella, the social media scientist, says the general rule of thumb is daily or several times a week. You have to decide what works best for you. In my find, we don't want to post more than once a day because we don't want it to clutter up our fans' Facebook pages. A school district or school might want to send more information out more regularly or more often. The key is find what works best for you and keep it consistent. Okay, I love this story. So make sure you're training the people who are responding for you on the appropriate use of social media. So this first tweet up there, it's from a guest who was at Price Chopper and was upset because the shelves are pretty empty. And so they left this tweet about now they realize why they're not at Wegmans. Well, best for you, and then just be consistent with it. So what the heck are hashtags, and how do you use them? Well, there's a really great tip from Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake on how to properly use hashtags.
What's up? Not much, Jimmy. Hashtag jump. What's up, you?
We're busy working. Hashtag rise and grind. Hashtag is it Friday yet?
Hey, check it out. I brought you some cookies. Hashtag homemade. Hashtag oatmeal raisin. Hashtag show me the cookie.
Sweet. Hashtag don't mind if I don't. Very good. Hashtag getting my cookie on. Hashtag I'm the real cookie monster. Hashtag no.
Hashtag I did it all for the cookie. Hashtag LOL.
Hashtag classic. By the way, did you catch last week's episode of Duck Dynasty? Hashtag quack quack.
No, lately I've mostly been watching Netflix. Hashtag Martin Black.
Oh, nice. I've been watching a lot of Barney the Dinosaur. Hashtag purple is the new black. Hashtag I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. Hashtag I'm 38. Hashtag dinosaurs. Hashtag how do they go extinct? Hashtag meteor. Hashtag ice age. Hashtag speaking of ice age, I just watched Ice Age on demand the other day. Hashtag funny. Hashtag Ray Romano. Hashtag Deborah. Anyway, Halloween's only like a month away. I mean, do you know where you're gonna be at? Hashtag life decisions. Hashtag sexy ghost.
I think when it goes into Ninja Turtle. Hashtag gotta be Raphael. Hashtag Leonardo sucks. Hashtag the turtle, not the Italian Renaissance painter. Hashtag Mona Lisa. Hashtag is she smiling? Hashtag speaking of smiling, I just saw my dentist. Hashtag bling. Hashtag dental care. Hashtag cavity free. Hashtag that's how we do. Hashtag we go hard. Hashtag we can't stop.
We won't
Hashtag we run this.
Hashtag true place of life.
Hashtag is it worth it? I'll let me work. Get
Hashtag put my thing down, flip it, then reverse it.
Hashtag
Hey guys. Yeah,
what's up?
Hashtag so.
I love that because that is a prime example of how people have gotten crazy with the use of hashtags. I mean, it's just, you gotta make sure that you're using them wisely. Keep it relevant. If you have to get too creative, you can guarantee that your customers will never find it. If you're having to be too creative, they won't remember it. I know I saw one for Marshalls. It was like hashtag bad line. I would never in a million years remember that, except for that I was about to do this, and so it stuck out in my head. But as a customer, I wouldn't use that hashtag because I wouldn't remember it and associate it with Marshall. So just choose carefully, use them sparingly, and then make sure you're keeping them very relevant to the message that you're trying to send. Okay, so listening. You gotta listen to them. If they're posting information on your page, you need to make sure that you are listening to them. So it's kind of like a coffee shop when you think about it, right? People gathering, even though they may not be face to face, they're gathering in one area and they are socializing. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring what they're saying because the customer becomes your marketing agent. So Lululemon, they're athletic wear or whatever. So evidently they had this big scandal because all their yoga pants were see-through, transparent, and so they made the mistake. They never responded to it. They never listened to their guests or their customers and responded to it. So they missed a huge opportunity there. In fact, do you remember the whole United Breaks Guitars thing where they broke that musician's guitar and baggage claim and then they would do nothing about it? Well, there was another airline who did, right? They were the ones that took advantage of that, as well as the guitar shop itself took advantage of the fact that that United didn't do anything. If you think about social media and all this socializing going on, all this feedback from your customers, it's a great knowledge base for you to be able to answer questions and have answers as well. And then you want to make sure that you're using that feedback wisely to drive improvement and understand that negative reviews are even more valuable than positive ones. So for example, our community manager had taken a picture of a burger with some bacon on it, and it didn't look as good as I guess it does in person. And so a couple of our raving fans had posted on Facebook, oh, it's a terrible picture, who took that? And so she and I got together on that and came up with a great response of, hey, thanks for the feedback. We'll definitely remember that next time and take better pictures. We're so glad it's better in person than it is on the screen. So, we're listening to this information and then making sure that we're using it in a positive way. So you have to understand that there are conversations happening about your brand from real people, and they really want what they want. And so if you look at some of these responses, we were able to use a lot of social media feedback and requests to change a couple of things about our menu. Number one, onion rings that we added this year, and then a gluten-free bun. We were listening to all these requests coming in, and then we were making sure they would align with what we do and with our brand before we made those improvements. So the third part about creating great interest and using social media to engage your customers is to build a community and relationships. And so if you think about a community, it's really a group of people who are interacting with one another for the love of a brand, right? They're really excited about a company, or it's a school, or it's a hospital. They're really excited and passionate about something. Pinterest is a great tool to use for this. If you're wanting to build a brand community, build a Pinterest page. It's an excellent tool. It's easy to navigate. Your customers can post there as well as you sharing information with them about things that you like. So people buy from the brands that they trust and the ones that their friends recommend. So you want to make sure that you're having conversations regularly with them, that you respond quickly and appropriately, and be very, very careful with the auto response or the auto post. And what I mean by that is there was a concert a couple years ago, Radiohead, and the concert venue had set up some automatic posts to go out to say, hey, make sure you send us pictures during the concert. Well, unfortunately, right as the concert was starting, there was a collapse in the venue, and so a lot of people got hurt. Well, that post still came up. Send us your pictures. So it really, really looked bad on the person that was responsible for that. So you just want to be very, very careful with putting automatic posts up or automatic responses. So if a customer contacts you through your social media site, and maybe they have a complaint or question, you want it to be authentic. You don't want to sound like a robot, and so you want to make sure that you're not using a canned paragraph or phrase that you would use on every post. They can quickly look up ahead and see. And then, of course, thank them for engaging with you. We use a lot of pictures and collages. So here are some examples of how schools are using social media. They're doing it to share news, to make announcements or upcoming events, to build pride and showcase their school culture, as well as communicating with parents, providing education, useful links to articles that would help them. And then they're also, in some cases, using them for course assignments. I know that in the middle school where I am, they're using Twitter to do math assignments, and they'll actually show how to do math problems through videos. And so a student at home can be looking at these videos when they're working on their homework or their assignments. It's really pretty cool. And some business-to-business companies are using social media. I love this one. So all the engineers in the room, you want to make sure you're raising engineer princesses. But business-to-business companies are using social media in a variety of different ways, raising awareness about their organization, telling their story, right? Companies have great stories to tell, and you can take advantage of sharing this with your customers. Expertise sharing, blogs, showcasing maybe projects that they've worked on, and then to continue to have conversations in order to retain their customers. So I'm going to shift to how we use social media to engage our employees. We use it to communicate with them, to recognize them, and then also to recruit them. This happens to be a 5-year anniversary there, where the owners actually goes out to the restaurant and takes a picture with this anniversary team member and recognizes them in front of their peers, and then we post this information on Facebook. We'll also use it to communicate events and announcements. For example, we know that most of our team members, they're on their phones all day long. They're not going to be looking at a communication board inside the have a group coming to visit us in Austin, or someone has achieved maybe a certain level of volunteer status. And then we'll also use it to recognize and to celebrate. So if someone gets promoted, we're going to tweet it, put it on Facebook. If someone has an awesome, outstanding, amazing story of how they went above and beyond and delighted a guest, we call that our Because of Me story. And then we will post that on Facebook and share it, knowing that our team members at other locations will read this and be inspired by what that team member did. And then we'll also celebrate birthdays and then welcome new team members as well through our social media site. It's a great way for you to also promote your culture and to recruit. So we will talk about referrals. In fact, we'll take pictures. Again, this is one of the owners. He goes out, and when someone's done a referral, he takes them their referral bonus, takes a picture of them, and then we will post it on Facebook. And then we will also use it as a way to let them know if we have any openings and which locations might have openings as well. And then any type of events. For example, this one down here, the training department, they did an outing where they went on a zip line tour. So they shared that as a way to showcase our culture. It's really critical that you have a policy in place. It's got to be a good policy. And you have to define it from the beginning. So on the very first day that a team member joins our organization, they learn what our social media policy is. We clearly outline what they can and can't share on their Facebook site. We want them to understand that there's a difference between being a brand ambassador and being a spokesperson. So we only have two people that are spokespersons, or spokespeople, I guess you could say, for our organization. Our team members know that it would never be acceptable for them to go on Yelp and respond to any type of review that a guest would have to put. So making sure they really understand that they are brand ambassadors for our organization. You want to make sure that you let them know, hey, have fun. Use social media in a fun way, but use really good judgment. And we're trying to teach them, because most of them are under the age of 25. Don't post stuff you'd be embarrassed if your mom was on your page. So we're trying to teach them how to use good judgment and common sense when they're on social media. And then, of course, that we really want them to understand that it's a community, it's not a complaint forum. We have an online comment log that is for that purpose. Social media is a community. It's for us to share and to recognize and build pride in our organization. And we will coach when necessary. Every now and then, we'll get, someone took a picture of a Facebook post that someone said, I hate my manager today. And so we'll politely bring them in and coach them and let them know, hey, you might not work for us forever. And so you got to think that your next future employer is going to see the same stuff, and it could definitely hurt your chances of getting that job. So we just coach them and remind them what the policy is and how to follow it. So you have to really understand the reach of social media. And I'm going to share a real life lesson on the power of viral, and then I'm going to open it up for some questions for you guys. So this is what can happen if you don't have a good plan in place. Amy's Baking Company. It is known as the worst Facebook meltdown ever. Now, raise your hand if you want your company to be on Google for that. No, you don't. So, at this Amy's Baking Company, they were known for yelling and for really bad service. They were actually featured on Kitchen Nightmares. They threw out customers, they withheld tips from their people. Gordon Ramsay actually refused to work with them, and that was just the beginning, because here's what happened next. The owners found some negative reviews on Yelp and Reddit, and this was the review. Food's horrible, the server Amy is a witch. This is the owner of the company, by the way, they're referring to. So Amy decided to respond. Now, pretty much it's common knowledge that when you use all caps, what are you doing? You're basically yelling. Okay, so that's the tone that she set. And then of course, she, is really basically screaming at them that they're stupid and they don't know what they're talking about, and so it just gets really, really ugly. But then it gets uglier. She then starts using all caps and cuss words. So it's definitely not working in her favor. And so she even, is talking about the witch hunt, and that, well, you can tell underneath the red lines what's happening there. And then finally, this happened. So, God put a post up there for the record that he, doesn't know Amy. And then finally, she responded that their Facebook page had been hijacked. So, train your people, have a good policy in place, because you certainly don't want this to happen. She actually ended up, supposedly she's getting her own reality show. Odds are you won't. So make sure you have something in place and have someone in charge of it that is very well trained. So actually what I would like to do now is go ahead and open up for some questions. Yes, ma'am. Sure. So it's 2 pages. So I mean, it's pretty long. We definitely discourage our managers being Facebook friends with all of their team members, because again, it's just a way that you can see things that you don't necessarily maybe want to see as a supervisor about their personal life. So we definitely recommend that. But it's a very long policy. It was drafted by an attorney, and it's communicated very clearly to our people. They know what they can and can't do in terms of social media. So definitely having an attorney help out with that is key. Yes, sir.
What's your resource commitment in terms of full-time employees, the time that they spend?
Sure. I have one community manager, and she's a part-time employee right now, because she's actually at University of Texas, and she's finishing up with a marketing degree. And so she works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and she's able to do all of it on those 3 days, and then I will fill in on Tuesday and Thursday where appropriate. But having one person or 2 people at most is the way that you have consistency in your messaging, for sure.
What does
Yes.
that person do on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?
Sure. Okay, so she does a lot of different things. A lot of it is monitoring and measuring. She's doing posts. She's going out to the restaurants and taking pictures. She's doing posts on our website as well. So like our employee spotlights about our team member, 5-star team member of the month. So she'll handle all of that information as well. She also is going to be entering. She'll be reading Yelp reviews, and she'll take the information and enter it in our online log where we can sort and analyze the data. So she does a variety of things, and then she'll have more communication responsibility when she comes on full time. Yes.
What were the tools that you mentioned for measuring?
Sure. So Sprout is a great one. Hootsuite is a great tool too, to be able to put all of your channels on one page and be able to monitor it. So for example, on Hootsuite for Mighty Fine, we can have Mighty Fine mentions, Twitter, Facebook. So we can see whoever's talking about us on one page at a quick glance. So Hootsuite's a great tool. And then there's also, Facebook will have a lot of measuring tools as well. But there's a really great website out there called Mashable.com, and they really have all of the latest and greatest information and trends, and so that's a great site to follow. What other questions you guys have? Start taking it easy on me. Yes, ma'am.
If you're starting out in social media, what platforms do you recommend beginning with, and what should you focus on?
Yep, okay, so the first thing that I would start with is Facebook. It's pretty easy to navigate, it's pretty easy to use, it's not very overwhelming at all. So I would probably stick with Facebook and Twitter, and then it just really kind of depends too. So for example, I'm an engineering firm. They might spend a lot more time on LinkedIn than we do. So it's really kind of benchmark what some of the other organizations or competitors are using as well. But I would definitely start simple, and that's Facebook and Twitter. Get your feet wet with that, get a good handle on how that works, and then you can branch out from there. Yes?
How do you use YouTube in your organization?
How do we use YouTube? Well, we have raving fans that will take video whenever they're in our restaurants, but we actually use it for employee training and development. film their entire transaction and then they load it to a private channel on YouTube. And then our team member will go and watch it and they'll coach themselves so they can see exactly how they perform. It's a great tool. It's very quick. Yes.
Do you ever recommend not responding to people that are antagonizing?
Yes. Yes. So don't respond when you're mad. When they're not really mad at your brand, they're just mad at the world in general. So a really good example of that, we do a lot of advertising with a local radio station in Austin. Well, one of the DJs or the talk show hosts talked about that the cyclists in Austin are getting way out of hand and that the bikes should be banned or whatever from the roads. And so anyway, this listener, because they knew we advertised with them, got on our page and whoever was advertising, just shame on you, how dare you, I'm never gonna eat there because you support, and we chose not to respond to that. Wouldn't have done any good, it would have started more argument. Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, you're up.
Are there different social medias that have different demographics?
Yes, definitely, and you can find all the research on that. Just, for example, LinkedIn, primarily professional, male. Twitter, primarily male, usually 25-30 range, 25 to 35 range. Facebook, predominantly female. However, the growing trend is people in their 50s and 60s, so they can share photos of their kids. It's a great way for grandparents to keep in touch with their kids and their grandkids and what's going on. Pinterest, primarily moms. That's a huge site for moms, and it's growing though in terms of brand interest, but different brands are using Pinterest. Yes, sir.
How do you judge the balance between overposting and neglecting your feeds? Because it's a really fine line.
It's a very fine line. And you'll have to find what works for the organization. I mentioned earlier, like a school, they might have more than one post a day because they're sending out really good information to their people. As a restaurant, our view is no more than one time a day. Because we don't want to cloud our fans' pages with all that information. So we just get real specific, do a picture, have a quick line, and that's it.
What do you see in the future of social media?
The future is definitely that is the way people communicate. We don't communicate face to face anymore. So this is the tool that people are using to follow companies, to share or recommend things between friends. And so it's taking the place of the traditional coffee shop, the meeting place.
What are your thoughts on promoting tweets and posts?
Sure. We choose not to do that. It really just depends on your organization. We choose to let it develop a little bit more organically than that. Yes.
Do you see sales spikes due to specific promotions or marketing that you do, and then you measure that?
Yes.
How?
So here's one of the things that we just did when we rolled out onion rings. We first started without pushing anything about the onion rings at all except for in store, right? They could just see that we started having them in store. So we measured sales, tracked sales for 2 weeks. And then we started pushing it through social media.